Did you have a good weekend, Judge?
I did. It was busy. Like everybody, they go too fast. Let's see. Do we have a quorum? I see Ella, Billy, TJ, um, James, Tracy. Um,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You have more than a quorum, Judge.
yeah. Okay. I wasn't seeing them all. I see everybody now. Great. Um,
And Judge, just so you know, I saw Dr. Stewart, so we might want to watch what we say as well.
um, all right. I know
I
it's eight
think I'm
o'clock
the
for most
one
of
who
you.
needs to watch what I say, Richard, not y'all.
No,
Good
man. No,
morning.
man. Hey, Leticia. Hey, Dr. Stewart.
Well, good morning to you all. Let me call this special called meeting of the commission um, to order. We've got our only matter of business today is the awards presentations, awards recipients. And I'm going to turn this over to either Richard, Craig, or Melissa, whoever's going to lead us through that conversation.
All righty, Judge.
So
Well,
if
thank you.
you,
Go ahead, Judge. Craig, it's all you, sir.
yeah, so if you would, before we go any further, I want to read something into the record, and then I'll sit and be quiet.
Excellent.
Um,
Not that you're going to be quiet, but excellent that you're going to bring us up and tell us. I'm sure you're going to tell us what we did at our meeting regarding the committee, but at any rate, we don't want you to be quiet. Go ahead.
so I'm going to send a letter to the Secretary of State regarding a statement of necessity for today's meeting, which is on March the 3rd of 2025. A quorum is electronically present pursuant to Tennessee Code annotated Title 8-44-108, which provides in part if a physical quorum is not present at the location of a meeting of a governing body, then in order for the quorum of members to participate by electronic or other means of communication, the governing body must make a determination that a necessity exists. Such determination and a recitation of the facts and circumstances on which it is based must be included in the minutes of the meeting. It further states that if a physical quorum is not present at the location of the meeting of a governing body other than a state debt issuer, the governing body other than a state debt issuer must file a determination of necessity, including the facts and circumstances on which it is based with the Office of the Secretary of State no later than 2 working days after the meeting. The Secretary of State shall report no less than annually to the General Assembly as to the filings of the determinations of necessity. So this meeting was originally scheduled for February the 21st, 2025, as one of the Tennessee Commission's regularly scheduled quarterly meetings. And due to inclement weather, a quorum was not present to vote on a matter that needs to be voted on prior to March the 11th, 2025, the day of the Tennessee Commission's Children's Advocacy Days. The meeting is essential so awards can be presented at the annual event. Tennessee Commission on Children and Youth scheduled another meeting to vote on March the 3rd, this day, 2025. Commission members were present. They are all volunteers. They reside across the entire state, and it is impractical for all of them to appear for an in-person meeting on such a short notice and for the purpose of one vote. This will be provided to the Secretary of State's office, and I'll give my contact information to their office should they have any further questions. I am finished.
All right. Keep us in compliance. Very, very good. And I don't see Jenny on unless she is Read AI meeting, unless that's her. But Richard, do you have a list of the commissioners? Can you call the roll?
Yes, sir. I can do that. And Jenny is en route back to Nashville from somewhere in the Caribbean, so I expect to
Oh,
see her
yeah.
later today or tomorrow morning. All righty. So, Judge Phil, y'all.
Here.
Well, good deal. Thank you. Ella Britt,
Present.
Randy Butler,
Here.
Billy Worsham,
Here.
Ashley Duncan, Judge Sharon Green, Lena Sanders,
Here.
Tracy Silverman,
Here.
Charmaine Cromer, Jennifer Donnells,
Here.
TJ King,
Here.
Matt Marshall,
Here.
Mayor Alan Strubinsky, Dr. Alpha Stewart,
Here.
Raymond Jenkins, Brandon Smith, Leticia Rosas.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you do indeed have a quorum.
All right, thank you. It's so good to hear everybody's voices, especially those we missed at our recent meeting. Judge Green reached out to me and to Richard with a hard conflict that she couldn't be here today. So, all right, I'm glad we have a quorum. As you might recall from the email, the commissioners who were able to attend our last meeting were appointed on the spot or in that meeting to be the official committee, awards committee. And that committee is bringing recommendations before the commission today. I believe you all were hopefully received information about each of those proposed award recipients. Let me ask Richard Craig, do we need to take those one by one, or since they're coming from a committee, do we accept them as a slate?
You know, Judge, we've done it both ways over the years, so we can certainly do whatever the will of the body is. If you guys are in good shape and you agree with those folks that are recommended by the committee, we could just approve the slate. If there are some that you want to pull out and have additional conversation about, then we can do that as well.
Very well. So let me open it up then for discussion. Does anybody want to talk about any particular proposed award recipient? And so what's the will of the commission? Is there a motion to
Can I
accept?
make a motion?
Slate?
I move we do it as a slate.
I second that.
Dr. Stewart motions, and I think Randy Butler seconded that motion.
Yes, sir.
Is there any further discussion needed? All right. It may be easier to ask if there's any opposition, but let me not do that. Let me say, let's take a vote. All in favor?
So Judge, if I could
Yes.
intervene, and so we're gonna need a roll call vote because this is a virtual meeting.
Okay. Let's go back through the roll.
Yes, sir.
Those present.
Let me get my list back.
Well, I can probably do that from here as to who's present. Billy, you seconded, so I assume you're voting in the affirmative. And then,
Affirmative.
okay, Elena,
Affirmative.
Ella,
Affirmative.
everybody's sticking on that word I used. Let's see, James Butler
Yes.
and Jennifer Donald,
Yes, affirmative.
TJ King,
Yes, affirmative.
Letitia, did I hear Letitia?
Yes, I affirm.
Okay, thank you. Matt Marshall,
Agreed.
Tracy.
Aye.
There you go. And Dr. Stewart motion, so we'll take that as a yes vote. And I
Aye.
don't know who is Read AI meeting. Is that one of ours or is that somebody staff?
Just activate it on its own.
Activated on its own?
That's me, Judge.
That's Billy. You can dismiss it if you'd like.
Oh, no, I was just curious. I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. We had a all morning session on AI last week at Judicial Conference, and I can tell you it's both exciting and scary what we learned. But I didn't know if maybe AI from somewhere in the great universe was just tuning into our meeting, so it will have information. All right, so that slate is approved and passes. Is there any other business that we need to take up?
Not from our perspective, Judge. Oh, go ahead.
Richard, it's Tracy. Just a personal note. I'm going to be out of town next week, so I'm going to miss advocacy days, and I'm so sorry to miss it. But I just wish everybody well, and I know it's going to be a great success.
Tracy, thank you so much, and we will certainly miss you. For those of you, and wish you safe travels. For those of you that are going to be at Children's Advocacy Days, if you could shoot me an email or Craig an email and just kind of say, hey, I'm planning on being there, that would be great, because we really want to work hard to incorporate you guys into the programming. So we may have a couple of asks. We already have some ask for some help moderating conversations, but also we'll have an ask to help present some awards, introduce speakers, things like that, just to bring you guys into the fold as much as we can. So if we know who's planning to be there, that will make it easier for you guys. And that's it, Judge.
Well, great. Well, I know we've all got places we need to be and things we have to do, but Richard, this is an opportunity to address the group, and especially those who weren't there at our last meeting. And I'll give you that opportunity if you want to.
Yeah, thank you, Judge. So I will talk with you guys about something really quickly. So as you all heard in commission meeting, I continue to be very mindful of our budget. Our budget this year was tight. And as all of you know, we have the opportunity, being a state entity, every year to submit improvement requests to the governor. And then as part of that improvement request process, we also have to do a reduction plan. So you all will remember that our first improvement, most critical improvement request was for an increase of $70,000 in our operational line. And then the second request was for an additional finance person. We did not receive either of those requests in the governor's budget. And on top of that, the 1% reduction plan, the governor and finance and administration took the reduction plans across the board in state government. So not only did we not get the $70,000, we're going to have to do an additional reduction of $57,000. So it's going to hurt a lot, and we're going to be able to figure out how to navigate it for the year. But next year we will have to ask for some operational dollars to offset that. We had our budget hearing in Senate Health and Welfare last week, and so we were given some advice that may not have ended up being the best advice for us to be given. So what we were told by some folks that work in F&A is they said what we should do is ask the legislature to start the process to hold the CASA grantee dollars harmless. If the CASA grantee dollars are held harmless, then they would recalculate the reduction plan backing out the CASA dollars. So we took that advice. The members of the Health and Welfare Committee were fantastic. They asked us the right questions. Arguably, they spent a little more time talking about CASA than I would have liked for them to, but it's an important program. So they did exactly what we asked them to do. So as we were leaving Cordell Hall, Craig and I ran into the state's budget director, and I said, hey, we were told to do this. We did this process with F&A. How does that start? How do we start that process? And his response was, we're not changing your reduction formula. You have to reduce $57,000. So in essence, what we did, based on the original advice, was we have protected CASA, completely. So CASA will not have a cut at all. And then the $27,000 that we would have passed along to CASA will now have to be absorbed out of our budget. So by trying to help CASA, we inadvertently put some extra stress on us at the agency. But in saying that, Craig and Brian and I have already met. We'll continue to meet. We have one vacant position that we will continue to run with empty. We will have another vacant position in May that we will reimagine what those responsibilities are, and we'll have some savings there. But it's going to be another very lean year, and we're going to have some really tough conversation about what our conference sponsorship of other entities looks like, and then just kind of how we go about maximizing travel and things like that within the agency. So on one hand, it was a good hearing. On the other hand, through some advice that might not have been the best, we inadvertently caused a little bit more stress, but we'll work to try to resolve some of that next year and with the members of the legislature. Now, I will tell you that when we talked with Senator Reeves from Murfreesboro prior to, he was pretty shocked that the reduction had been taken, and so said he wanted to know more about that and would help us in that process as well. So we'll definitely rely on Ella, who has a good relationship with Senator Reeves, and others of you who might actually start some of that conversation. Craig, do you think I misrepresented anything with that, or is that how you experienced that situation as well?
Yeah, I don't think anything's been misrepresented. I will remind folks that if you have comments or thoughts, that this is being recorded, and that recording is going to be on our website for public consumption.
All right. Well, thank you, I think. All right. Anybody else have anything? Richard, you're gonna have to tell me someday what you're feeding that plant that's over your shoulder, because it's to the ceiling.
Judge, I have grown to hate that tree. It was a gift. It was one of those fiddle leaf fig things. And so the person that gave it to me is in my house about once every 2 months, and I can't in good conscience just throw it away. But it is like that plant from the Little Shop of Horrors. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Well, talk to it. Meta.
Yes, sir.
All right. Is there and again, it's so good to see you all. Thank you for your service to the state and your individual everyday jobs and for what you do with this commission. Is there a motion to adjourn this special called meeting?
Motion.
I'm making a
Okay. I think I heard Randy a motion and Ella second. All in favor, just wave at us. All right. Hearing no opposition, I think that will conclude our meeting today. You all have a great week.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Judge, thank
Hey,
you.
Richard, could you hang on
Yes,
for
sir.
a minute?
Yes, sir.